Okay, so today we're going to tackle a really big and honestly kind of unsettling idea. This slow, creeping shift from a society built on trust to one that's basically engineered by fear.
I mean, just think about your day to day. You've got two-factor authentication just to check your email. You're clicking through endless terms and conditions. You see security cameras on practically every corner. It feels like we're constantly being asked to prove we are who we say we are, right? And that our intentions are good. So, why is that?
Well, what if this isn't just a random bunch of security measures? The source material we're looking at today argues that it's actually a symptom of a massive shift in how we see each other. We've moved to a world where the default assumption isn't innocence anymore, it's guilt. So first, let's just dig into what this world, this one that's built on a presumption of guilt, actually looks and feels like for all of us. This constant demand for proof, for verification, it's not just about technology getting more complex. The argument here is that it's a huge warning sign. It's pointing to a really deep decline in something way more fundamental, our collective sense of morality and, just personal responsibility. To really get a handle on what we might have lost, we've got to look back at what we once had, a society that was really built on a totally different foundation. See, in the past, trust wasn't some system you just logged into. It was a bond, something you actually built. It was generated person to person based on how people acted and a basic willingness to take a chance on someone else. And that's the key right there. Risk was always part of the equation. And this lays out the mechanics of it perfectly. Trust basically stood on three pillars. First, I give you my word, a simple agreement between two people. Second, honor, which was your public reputation, something you had to protect. And third, deeds said and done. The ultimate proof was what you did, and people could see that over time. This whole system depended on people having a sense of morality and actually taking responsibility for what they said and did. You couldn't just click an I agree box, you really had to live it. To earn someone's trust, they had to take a leap of faith, and then you had to prove them right. So what happened? How did we get from a world of handshakes and honor to a world of passwords and surveillance? This is where our source introduces a really powerful idea. It calls the architecture of fear. The core argument is that new forms of mass media and, governance started to tear down these personal bonds. And they did it by amplifying fear. They take these rare, isolated bad things that happened and just blast them everywhere, making them seem constant, common, and right outside your door. This quote from the material just nails that feeling, doesn't it? That constant, sensationalized, 24/7 news cycle of just bad news, making the world seem way, way more dangerous than it statistically is. It just creates this background hum of anxiety. And here's the formula, laid out, plain and simple. You take a rare, specific case, you chop it up and distort it, and what's the result? A general fear of other people. Then you take an exception, something that almost never happens, and you present it as the general rule. The result? A whole population that suddenly feels like they desperately need protection. Now, this manufacturing of fear, it's not just some unfortunate side effect of modern media. It actually creates this self-perpetuating cycle that has some pretty profound consequences for our freedom and, frankly, our character. Okay, so step one, through this constant drumbeat of danger, a baseline of fear and anxiety just becomes the new normal. We start seeing threats everywhere, even in places they don't exist. All right, step two. As soon as the population is scared enough, systems of power, governments, big corporations, they can step in and offer the solution. They say, hey, the world is dangerous, but don't worry, we'll protect you. And for that feeling of safety, we pretty willingly hand over little pieces of our freedom and our privacy. And here it is, the final and most crucial step in the cycle. When we start outsourcing our safety and our judgment to these big external systems, we stop using our own, our sense of individual responsibility and morality. It starts to atrophy, the muscles don't get used. And that, of course, just makes us even more reliant on the system, and the whole cycle just starts all over again. This chart just breaks it down perfectly. You can see the two worlds side by side. The world based on trust, valued morality, responsibility, and real human interaction. It accepted risk as part of life. The world based on fear, it's all about security, constant verification, and systems of control, all of it fueled by exaggerated danger. It's a really stark difference when you see it like that. And, of course, modern technology has basically put this entire cycle on steroids. Things like computerized databases and AI make all this verification and control easier than ever. The internet and social media mean that scary, exaggerated stories about disasters can spread like wildfire. We're even seeing it creep into our personal lives, with all these detailed rules eroding the spaces where trust used to just grow naturally.
So, at the end of the day, what's the ultimate cost of living inside this architecture of fear? What really happens when a society completely loses that foundation of trust?
While the source material offers a pretty grim take, it basically claims the proof of this moral decline is all around us. That in a world without those bonds of trust, the raw, naked pursuit of money and power becomes the only game in town. And ultimately, the cost isn't just societal, it's deeply personal. When we don't have to be responsible for our word anymore, when we live in this state of constant, low-level fear, we lose something profound. We lose a connection to the deeper, more meaningful parts of just being alive. Which leaves us with a really challenging final thought. This analysis is pretty clear that real trust requires risk. It requires taking a leap of faith in another person. So in a world that is designed from the ground up to eliminate risk at all costs, how can we possibly begin to take those small, necessary leaps to start earning it back? That's definitely something to think about.